There is a quiet sickness spreading through the modern world. It does not show on the surface. It does not appear in medical reports. It cannot be measured by a doctor or detected in a blood test. But it lives inside almost every man walking the streets today, sitting in offices, lying in beds, scrolling through phones late at night when they should be sleeping. It is a profound, silent emptiness. A hollow feeling that no amount of success seems to fill, no relationship can quiet, no achievement can erase, no purchase can satisfy. Men work harder than ever before. They have more comfort, more options, more entertainment, and more freedom than any generation in human history. And yet, in the silence of their own minds, they feel something is deeply wrong. They feel empty. And they do not know why. This is not weakness. This is not depression in the clinical sense. This is something far older and far more disturbing. It is the natural response of the human soul when it is disconnected from meaning. It is the ancient signal that something essential has been lost, and the modern world has perfected the art of hiding what that something is. The Stoics understood this emptiness 2,000 years before psychology had a name for it. They saw it in the wealthy Roman aristocrats who had everything yet felt nothing. They saw it in soldiers returning from war who could no longer find joy in peace. They saw it in philosophers themselves who had read every text and meditated for years, but still felt the cold pull of meaninglessness in their chests. Today, I will show you what the Stoics knew about this hollow disease of the modern man. I will reveal the philosophical roots of why you feel empty even when your life looks full from the outside. And I will give you the brutal Stoic cure that the ancient world used to restore meaning to broken souls. If you complete this journey with me, you will never see your own emptiness the same way again. Begin with the most uncomfortable truth. You are not empty because something is wrong with you. You are empty because the modern world has trained you to feed your soul with substances it cannot digest. You were built for meaning, for challenge, for struggle, for connection, for purpose, for the slow, deep satisfaction that comes from building something difficult over many years with your own hands. Instead, you have been given comfort, distraction, convenience, endless dopamine, cheap pleasure delivered in 5-second loops, food without nourishment, information without wisdom, connection without intimacy, success without sacrifice. These things are not evil, but they are not what the human soul was designed to consume. Imagine feeding a wolf nothing but candy for its entire life. The wolf will not die, it will survive, but it will become weak, it will lose its instincts, it will forget what it was made for, it will look at its own reflection and not recognize the creature staring back. This is what has happened to the modern man. You are a soul designed for the depth of meaning, raised in a culture that gives you only the surface of pleasure. And your emptiness is not a sign that you are broken. It is the screaming of your ancestors inside you, demanding that you return to a way of living worthy of the kind of creature you actually are. The Stoics taught that the human soul has a specific purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we were not born to lie in bed and warm ourselves. We were born to act, to build, to create, to contribute, to align ourselves with reason and virtue. He understood that purpose is not a luxury. It is the food of the soul. Without it, you can have everything else and still starve. This is the first principle of the Stoic cure for emptiness. You must reconnect with the truth that you were not put on this earth simply to consume. You were placed here to produce, to build, to grow, to contribute something that did not exist before you arrived. The man who only consumes will always feel empty, no matter how much he consumes. because he is operating against his deepest nature. The second principle is the recognition of false fullness. Modern society offers you 1,000 ways to feel full without actually being full. You eat without hunger, you scroll without curiosity, you speak without thought, you consume entertainment without engagement, you collect possessions without need, you chase achievements without meaning, you accumulate experiences without integration. All of these activities create the illusion of fullness, but they leave the deeper layers of your soul completely starved. This is why a man can have a successful career, a beautiful family, a comfortable home, and still wake up at 3 in the morning with that cold, hollow feeling in his chest, because the things he has been feeding his soul are not the things his soul actually needs. Seneca wrote that we never live, we are always preparing to live. He saw men spending their entire lives chasing future versions of themselves, accumulating things they did not need, performing for audiences who did not care, and arriving at the end of life having never actually inhabited it. The Stoic cure begins with the brutal recognition that most of what fills your day is not feeding you, it is distracting you. There is a profound difference between these two states. Feeding leaves you nourished. Distraction leaves you hungrier than before. The third principle is the return to difficulty. Modern men feel empty because their lives have been engineered to remove every form of meaningful struggle. You do not have to hunt for food. You do not have to walk long distances. You do not have to build your own shelter. You do not have to face the elements. You do not have to survive anything that previous generations of men considered normal. The ancestral signals that once told a man he was alive and worthy have been completely silenced by modern convenience. This is why men in comfortable lives often feel more empty than men in difficult ones, because the soul finds its meaning through resistance, not through ease. The soul knows it is alive when it overcomes something. When everything is handed to you, the soul receives no signal that it exists. The Stoics understood this principle perfectly. Seneca voluntarily practiced poverty even when he was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He slept on hard floors, ate the cheapest food, and lived in simplicity for days at a time, not because he hated comfort, but because he understood that the soul needs difficulty to feel alive. If your life lacks meaningful struggle, you must introduce it deliberately, through training, through cold, through hunger, through hard work, through demanding projects, through challenges that test the deepest parts of you. The Stoic does not run from difficulty. He seeks it out because he knows that on the other side of difficulty waits the only feeling that can truly fill a man. The feeling of being fully alive. The fourth principle is the death of false identity. Most modern men feel empty because they are wearing a self that was assembled for them by other people. You did not choose most of your beliefs. You did not choose most of your desires. You did not choose the version of success you are chasing. These things were installed in you by culture, by family, by advertising, by social media, by years of repeated exposure to the same messages. You are not living your own life. You are living a script written by others, performed by you, applauded by no one who actually matters. This is why so many successful men feel empty after achieving what they thought they wanted. Because once they get it, they realize they never truly wanted it in the first place. It was a goal inherited from outside, not generated from within. The Stoic cure requires the painful work of stripping away the false identity, asking yourself what you would do, who you would become, and how you would live if no one was watching, judging, or measuring you. This question terrifies most men because they have spent so long building their entire identity around the gaze of others that they have no idea who they actually are underneath. Marcus Aurelius retreated into his own mind every day specifically to ask this question. To strip away the role of emperor, the expectations of the court, the demands of his enemies, and the noise of public opinion, in order to touch the smaller, quieter, more honest man beneath all of it. You must do the same, even if you have to do it once a week, even if it terrifies you, because the emptiness you feel is partly the absence of your true self in your own life. The fifth principle is the cultivation of deep work. Modern men are starving for the experience of deep, sustained, meaningful effort. Everything in modern life pulls you toward shallow engagement, quick tasks, easy wins, surface conversations, fragmented attention. You spend your days running from one small thing to another, never giving your soul the chance to immerse itself in something that actually demands the deeper parts of you. But the human soul is not designed for shallow living. It is designed to commit to one demanding pursuit for long periods of time, to wrestle with a problem until it surrenders, to build a craft until it becomes part of who you are, to dedicate years of disciplined effort to something that will outlast you. This kind of deep work creates a sense of meaning that no amount of distraction can replicate. When you have spent a year mastering something difficult, you feel different in your own body. You walk differently. You speak differently. You exist with a quiet dignity that cannot be faked or bought. The Stoics dedicated their entire lives to philosophy, not as a hobby, not as a side interest, but as the deep work of their existence. They returned to it every day, every year, until their last breath. This is why their writings still feel alive 2,000 years later, because the men who wrote them gave their souls fully to a single great pursuit. You must find your own great pursuit, something difficult, something worthy, something that will demand the best of you for many years. Without this, your soul will continue to drift, and the emptiness will continue to grow no matter how comfortable your life becomes. The sixth principle is the restoration of true connection. Modern men are surrounded by people, but profoundly alone. You have hundreds of digital connections and almost no real ones. You speak to dozens of people daily and feel understood by none of them. You are visible to thousands online and invisible in your own life. This is one of the deepest sources of modern emptiness. The human soul was built for tribe, for brotherhood, for the kind of bonds that previous generations took for granted. Men who knew each other for decades, men who fought side by side, men who could sit in silence together without needing to fill the air with noise. The modern world has replaced these bonds with shallow alternatives. Likes, comments, brief encounters, acquaintances who do not actually know who you are, and then it wonders why men feel disconnected even when they are constantly communicating. The Stoics valued true friendship above almost everything else. Seneca wrote long, deep letters to his friends, treating each correspondence as sacred. He understood that one real friendship was worth 1,000 shallow connections. He understood that the soul cannot be nourished by quantity, it must be fed by depth. You must rebuild this in your own life, even if it means having fewer friendships, even if it means letting go of relationships that no longer serve who you are becoming. Find the few people who can meet you at the depth your soul actually requires. Invest in them seriously. Show up for them consistently. Let yourself be truly known. This kind of connection cannot be replaced by anything, and without it, the modern emptiness will continue to spread no matter what else you achieve. The seventh principle is the reconnection with something greater than yourself. This is the deepest layer of the Stoic cure, and the one modern culture has worked hardest to destroy. Every great philosophical tradition understood that human beings need to feel connected to something larger than their own lives. Whether you call it God, the cosmos, nature, the universal mind, or simply the great mystery, the human soul cannot survive long if it believes it exists alone in a meaningless void. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly about his connection to the larger order of things. He saw himself as a small part of a vast intelligent universe. He saw his life as a brief participation in something ancient and infinite. This perspective did not make him feel small in a defeated way. It made him feel rooted. It gave his daily struggles meaning. It transformed his suffering into participation in something sacred. Modern men have been stripped of this perspective. They have been taught to believe that they are random accidents in a meaningless universe, that their existence has no purpose beyond consumption and reproduction, that nothing they do will matter once they are gone. This is the deepest poison of the modern age, and it is the foundation of the emptiness that haunts so many men today. The Stoic cure does not require you to adopt any specific religion. It requires you to open yourself to the possibility that you are part of something larger, that your life is not a random event, but a moment of participation in an immense, intelligent, ancient unfolding, that your discipline, your virtue, your courage, your effort, all of these things matter not just to you, but to the larger order you are connected to. When a man feels this connection, the emptiness begins to dissolve, not because the difficulties of life disappear, but because he no longer feels alone in facing them. He is part of something, he has a place, he has meaning, he has a reason to rise in the morning and fight the same battles he fought yesterday. This is what the modern world cannot give you, and this is why the modern world creates so much emptiness, no matter how full its surface appears. Awareness of false fullness, return to difficulty, death of false identity, deep work, true connection, reconnection with something greater. These 7 Stoic principles, applied with seriousness and time, will slowly dissolve the emptiness that has settled in your chest. They will not give you a quick fix. They will not deliver instant relief, but they will rebuild the foundations of a meaningful life from the ground up. Understand this. The emptiness you feel is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is the part of you that still remembers what real fullness feels like and refuses to let you settle for anything less. Most men will try to silence this voice. They will drown it in alcohol, distraction, food, work, or noise. They will spend their entire lives running from the very signal that could save them. You will not. You will turn toward it. You will listen to it. You will let it guide you back to the kind of life your soul was actually built for. A life of meaning, a life of depth, a life of difficulty that matters, a life of connection that nourishes, a life of contribution that outlasts you. This is the Stoic way out of modern emptiness. Not more comfort, not more achievement, not more consumption, but a brutal philosophical return to the ancient sources of human meaning that the modern world has tried to erase. If you are tired of feeling empty in a life that should feel full, if you are tired of chasing things that do not satisfy, if you are ready to rebuild the deeper foundations of a life that is actually worth living, then this is your moment. Subscribe to The Ancient Mind. Leave the word meaning in the comments if you are taking command of your soul starting today. Reclaim your depth. Reclaim your purpose. Reclaim yourself. Stay stoic.